Hey everybody, this is a quick tutorial how-to guide for approaching, preparing, and delivering your Houston Youth Symphony Horn audition. That is a real humdinger of an excerpt from Till Eulenspiegel, one of Strauss's wonderful tone poems. And before we get into the excerpt specifically, here's a couple of things that, as a judge of any audition, you would be listening for, and things that you should be considering as you're preparing, making sure that you're checking in with these things. First is playing all the time, every time you pick up the horn, and get ready to prepare this excerpt or to prepare anything really, to focus on having a good sound. It's easy to get bogged down in the details of what you're doing and forget completely, find yourself playing just, too loud, or letting yourself play too quiet so that your sound gets thin. We want to always be playing and delivering whatever excerpt it is within the confines of a good sound. So playing within your envelope, within your wheelhouse, the sort of limitations of your own playing, you have to sound good. Second is to keep in mind the marked tempo range that is given to you with this excerpt. This excerpt we have marked at 104 to 112. So do not play faster than that. And when we're preparing, we certainly want to work it up to at least that kind of lower bound, 104. And after that, of course, is all of the musical details, the minutiae. We're talking about articulation, we're talking about dynamics, we're talking about where the phrase should be. Sometimes that's marked, sometimes it isn't. In this case, Strauss is very, very particular and specific about everything. So if you follow the ink, if you play what's on the page, you're going to be in good hands. So with those three things in mind, let's start breaking down this kind of first excerpt. Obviously, this is kind of a funky, rhythmic excerpt for horn players, and we work a lot on getting this excerpt up to snuff. And the main thing that we're going to be practicing is playing with good time and making sure we play in time without dropping any beats or adding beats. And this can be tricky because of this hemiola that sits within the 6/8 time signature. So my general practice tip for approaching any excerpt really, but especially this rather strange rhythmic oddity, is to play a lot with a metronome and to play way under tempo when you first start. So we want to pick a tempo where we're going to nail every detail, all of the articulations, obviously all of the notes, and the dynamics, and be able to commit to a phrase while we are playing at a slow tempo, so that as we bring it up to full speed, we have all those details with us because we were able to put them all in at the same time. All right, enough chit chat. Let's get into how to take apart and put back together Till Eulenspiegel. This solo is very, very common for first horn lists, audition lists, professional lists. It'll be on, if you decide to study music in school, it'll be on those auditions. You'll see it all the time. So gotta learn it right the first time so you don't have to learn it again. Okay, first things first is we take it down all the way to a tempo where we can really focus on each eighth note as it goes by. Bum 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 ba da da dum, and we're gonna subdivide eighth notes through all of these tied notes. So it's gonna sound a little something like this. So pick a real nice slow tempo. So basically what we're doing is we are making sure that metrically we're not cheating any of these tied over quarter eighth parts of this melody. When we practice this way, you can also do that at full tempo, just to check how metrically everything is lining up. That's really key to getting it to sound in time. So starting really slow, have a metronome on with a click for your eighth note, and just work your way up that way. And don't take out those subdivisions until it is metrically clean. One thing that may help, I prefer, when I'm working on this, just to keep my brain organized. You can kind of emphasize the beginnings of each pattern. So each of the G's, the first line G's of the excerpt. Or you can, the more preferable is to kind of emphasize where the hemiola lands by just emphasizing whatever that beat is, where like each downbeat, the third and the fourth eighth note of each bar. This will help you feel that tempo even while you're playing, you're playing this hemiola that goes against it. Okay, that's how we kind of take this one apart. Another trick, if you find that you're having trouble supporting getting up to the sort of higher notes, especially with articulations, just play everything slurred and feel how that air support can push you all the way up to those higher notes, and then add articulations back while focusing on maintaining that support throughout, even while you're articulating. It's sort of a constant air support from down in your gut that allows, instead of sort of like giving power and then taking it off, you're just kind of constantly pushing forward, like lean into it and give it the air that it needs to get up to sort of that mid-high range. Okay, same sort of principles now for the second section of this excerpt. Again, we want to approach this from a tempo that is slow enough that we can pick up every single detail. We're talking about dynamics, articulation, and of course the notes. Sort of the same hemiola again, so we really have to feel the pulse at that slow tempo, feel where that first and that fourth beat are, and make sure that we are metrically fitting everything in between. And sort of the same approach for getting up to that high range. Practice it slurred. This high C is not going to come out of nowhere. You have to be practicing your scales up into that range every day to have good control and good sound on notes in that range. So work your scales up all the way and beyond. Nothing makes a high C more comfortable than having access to a C sharp or a D or an E flat. So work well beyond your needs, and you'll find that you have access to these things when you need them. For me, I'm a low horn player, so this is not necessarily my wheelhouse. So when I approach this excerpt, to deliver it cleanly, I sort of focus on, I don't, maybe ignore a crescendo when it's there and focus on keeping a good sound and a steady airstream and just make it all the way through the note. Not adding a lot of crescendo. It's going to sound loud. It's up in the stratosphere. Making sure I'm not overblowing, because that will, it will ruin my good sound, which is rule number one. So focus on keeping your air support during these. Get locked in on that B and don't move. Just ride your air all the way up to the top. Air will do the rest, hopefully. So yeah, take some practice. Add those scales up into that range. And if you work on them every day, you'll eventually build your envelope to include a more comfortable high C. So good luck to you all with that. The sections after that, I would take, again, like we're talking about, very under tempo. Start really slow. Make sure you have all the details, those staccatos, the slurs. Thank you, Billy. And same thing for the last one. So really smear the air in those slurs and pop out the staccatos where needed. So just to summarize, really the approach for this excerpt is take it super slow. Be very diligent about playing with a metronome so that you're playing these eighth notes nice and square, and subdivide the tied eighths. For increasing your range, focus on your scale work and really maintain a beautiful sound through every range during your scales, and those notes will be within your envelope when you need them for an excerpt like this. Okay, good luck everybody. Happy practicing.